Hey guys, in my never-ending quest to be the best artist that I can possibly be, I've set myself a cool challenge. So one of the things through painting this year that I've realized is flowers are hard. I think in a lot of ways it can be hard to unpack the best way to layer and add color so that you really get the dimension and the shadows and all the petals. And there's just, I'm hesitant to say there's a lot to them because ultimately it's just paint, but they are also a bit complex. They're just specific and a little bit complex. So I've set a challenge to paint roses in 2 ways. Now, if you've been following my channel, you know that for these next 50 paintings, I am purchasing courses from my favorite artists, basically using each one to teach me something specific. To complete this challenge, I am going to do 1 rose painting before I take the course, and then I'm going to do a rose painting with the course. So as kind of a follow along, and I'm going to be listening to them, and we will see which one turns out better. I'm so curious. I'm going to tackle it in my way, and then we'll do the course. So let's get to it. Okay. I'm going to be working with 2 brushes today. One is a little bit bigger and square. The other one is smaller and round. 9 by 12 linen paper. I'm going to start by putting in just a base wash of color. I'm going to zone out and listen to a book while I'm doing this, but I'll just give you a brief rundown of my tentative plan of how to approach this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to paint this background with a solid dark green kind of color and just cover the canvas, get this background put in as best I can. And then from there, I'm going to go to the vines and get that laid in, and then potentially maybe the outline of the flowers, or I'm going to go back to this background and then fill in the dynamic range where there's leaves that are kind of more in the foreground and therefore a slightly different color. I might add those in, or I'll do kind of the first pass over the flowers, then do that. But whichever one comes first, then I'll do the opposite. And I'll basically do everything except for the roses themselves. I'll save for last. I'm a little hesitant because I know one of the things that the artists do that I'm about to take the course with is that they basically move the background into some of the flowers themselves, and that is not originally how I would have done it. I honestly would probably be a bit more careful. So that's one of those things where I know what's to come, and I'm adding a little bit of that in here, but I'm trying to also still be honest to how I was doing rose paintings. So I'm still being more careful than what they're doing, but I am doing a little bit of what I know is to come. So I apologize if you feel like that's cheating, but that's just how it's gonna go. It's still gonna be way different. All right, that is it for the first one of this challenge. I think even knowing what's to come, I do think that I did a good job of staying true to how I would paint this, and that is meticulously with a small brush, and to some extent being afraid of painting outside the lines because I'm afraid that I'm going to forget or lose sight of where the petals are. But I know that after I do this lesson, that's not how they approach it. And so that's why I'm so curious to see what the difference is between this time and the next one, because it is done with a much more classical approach. And I'm so excited to challenge myself in that regards, especially with a subject matter that I'm not that familiar with, I'm not that confident in, so it's good practice to be uncomfortable. All in all, I think this one actually turned out really well. There's a good amount of depth. With the highlights, I was really able to bring stuff forward, but I think there's room for improvement, so I'm excited to see where this goes. So with that, let's hop into round 2, where I will be painting alongside an instructional video. I'm following along with Sadie Valeri Atelier. So what's gonna happen is I have a course pulled up right here. I'm gonna follow along with it. I'm not gonna show you any of the video footage. I'm not gonna let you listen to her talking. I wanna protect her content. That's for her to share, not me. I just solely wanted to show you the difference between how I was doing it before and then compare it to what's gonna come and what I'm maybe gonna learn in this course. Also a little bit terrified because, as you can see, we have a blank linen paper behind me, which you do not see very often on my channel. I love a good pre-drawing. I love working problems out beforehand and just being able to sit down and paint and not worry about things. So this is a bit different, but she didn't draw up her painting. In the spirit of following along and pushing myself out of my comfort zone and trying to learn new things, we are doing it her way from start to finish, which is great. That's what I wanted, to be pushed out of my comfort zone. I suspect it's going to help with edge control. I am going to be doing a full course review of her stuff, so stay tuned for that because you guys love the course reviews of other artists. Today we'll see what we learn, and at the very end we'll talk about it. We'll kind of compare and contrast and see which one turned out better, what I felt about everything. Without further ado, let's hop into the painting. All right, so roses, flowers, done the second way. And what do I think about it? I'm not gonna lie. I definitely like it more. I like it way more than the one that I did. And I'm not surprised in the slightest. There's a lot to unpack here because one, I didn't start with a drawing. So how do I feel about that? Actually, phenomenal. And I can already tell by doing this that that is basically what I've been missing in my artwork in regards to edge control. This is the technique that I needed in order to get that. I think I've felt that way for a long time. I've just been insecure about not having a drawing down. And that's not to say you can still do it with a drawing down. I just need to be better about releasing my reliance on those lines and like the rigidity surrounding those lines. I need to be confident in deviating from those drawing lines that I put down. And yeah, without drawing it, it actually helped enormously. I'm glad that that issue was kind of problem solved. What do I think between the two paintings? Well, let me go get the other one put up. I'll show you both, don't worry. But just from my perspective, though this one isn't bad and I'm really pleased with how it turned out, this one definitely has even more depth and technique demonstrated, and that's really cool. Are there areas I like more than others? Yes. The peony, which is definitely the focal point of the drawing, I think is great. I put more time into that. These white roses in the back, I did run into a little bit of problems there, I think because of my own impatience with it and kind of just wanting to get it done. So that's not the course's fault. That's not the rose's fault. That's just me being pleased with the peony and kind of just being like, oh, whatever. So that was my fault. And I could have taken more time. But I know that. Edges that are disappearing, there's things that are soft, there are things that are textured and brought forward. Whereas to me, these lines, because I was insecure, definitely feel more rigid. I like the color in here. I like that I took the time to really build up nuances and color in the roses. That's there too, not as much in these white ones, but I do like the color. I just think if I had done this color with this kind of edge control and technique, this one would have been elevated even more. That's why I wanted to do this. I wanted to compare and contrast before and after. So those are my thoughts. I'm so curious. Which one do you like more and why? With that, upcoming, I will be doing a full course review on Sadie Valeri Atelier, which I'm very excited for. And other than that, thank you so much for joining today, and I can't wait to see you in the next one.